Hi, and welcome to Yoga with Sharon. Today I have a beginner's yoga flow for you to do at home. So while you're quarantined, grab a mat or a carpeted surface and some comfortable clothes to move in. That's all you need. Yourself and your breath. Let's get started.
So as we're beginning, I want you to know that your body is the best guide to give you feedback. So if something is difficult and you need to back off, go with a modification to make it easier. There's always a modification in yoga to make something easier or harder if you need to, and I'll try to provide those when I can. So if you would like a blanket, as we're sitting on the floor at the beginning here, sometimes it helps to elevate the hips a little bit. It may be more comfortable for you. So you can place a pillow or a blanket under the hips, and we're just sitting cross-legged. So begin to just breathe at your normal rhythm, not trying to control it or force it. Palms can be facing down on your knees or your thighs, or they can be facing up. Either way, just finding a comfortable seated position. We'll begin to grow taller out the crown of our head and think about shoulders coming down away from the ears. So maybe you shrug them up and just allow them to fall. Shoulder blades will melt down your back. Just having a nice tall posture as we begin to deepen the breath, inhaling, filling all the way up into the lungs, diaphragm, and exhaling the air out. So just beginning to slow the breath down. I will guide you through as we begin to move here. Raise the hands up overhead on the inhale, exhale, press the palms down. Do this a couple more times. Inhale, arms up and down. I will use cues to guide you with your breath. Sometimes it's moving with your breath in and out, and other times it will be holding a posture. This time we'll raise our arms all the way up and then grab a wrist with one of your hands, reach it up overhead so your bicep is right next to your ear and you feel a stretch in your side body. Be mindful of that knee coming up like I just did, kind of guided mine down a little bit. Hold for a couple of breaths, then coming back to center, we'll switch hands, stretch up over, and maybe you bring your gaze to that armpit or to the bicep. And one more time. Inhale and exhale, stretch a little bit farther, really making a C curve all the way from the fingertips down to the hips. And the other side. And coming back down. Let's bring one hand to a knee. My left hand's going to my right knee, right arm behind, and look over that right shoulder. So this time we'll hold the breath. Just a couple full inhales and exhales. Maybe you allow yourself to twist a little bit more on the exhale. And coming up, let's switch to the other side. Right hand to left knee and looking over your left shoulder. So we're just bringing some gentle movement into our practice to begin with. Waking up the body. Let's come back to the center. Arms come down. So we can roll over our knees if that's comfortable for you. I'm just removing the blanket that I had there, and we'll come down to all fours. So toes will be long, so the tops of our feet will be flat on the mat. Knee is directly under our hips, and wrists are underneath our shoulders. So this is called tabletop, so just think about your back being a nice flat surface that you could put a tray or a drink on there and it wouldn't spill. Let's pull the belly button in towards the spine and tuck the tailbone under slightly. Neutral neck, so we're not straining our neck, lifting it to arch the back. Keep everything nice and straight. Lift the left leg and we'll extend the right arm out so the bicep is by our ear. And you can point or flex the foot behind you. It doesn't really matter. I'm an ex-gymnast, so I like to point. But you could also flex, pull that heel towards the ceiling to really engage that glute. So try to let your arm drop down. So the fingertips are going to be extending horizontal all the way to the back foot. Let's bring everything down and take a cat-cow. So drop the stomach, lift the head, Tailbone reaches up. Then press into the palms, round the spine, arching your back like a cat. Good, and continue. You could inhale or exhale on the cow, and then moving through the spine to your cat pose. One more time. 1 breath per each movement. And then we'll come back into the neutral tabletop position, this time right leg sticking out behind us. Point that toe or flex and extend the right arm out. So again, we're not straining to lift the eyes to look ahead of us. Keep the gaze down and reaching each hand and foot in opposition. Feeling that length, and when they start to kind of slide downward, lift them both back up. Okay, bring everything down. A couple more cat-cows. I like to inhale on my cat pose. Tuck the chin into the chest, around the spine, and exhale to the cow. Feel free to stay in any position a little longer than I may be cueing. Maybe in your cow, you look over one shoulder. Allow the hips to kind of rock side to side. Do what feels good for you right here. Maybe flip the wrists. Gently, just flipping them over to the backs of the hands. And then we're coming back to all fours. We'll tuck the toes and sending the hips up and back to downward facing dog. So the hips are up high and your heels are reaching towards the earth. Feel free to bend one knee and then the other, kind of pedaling out through the feet, stretching the calves, hamstrings. And press down through all 10 fingers like you're trying to press through the floor. Armpits pressing down towards the ground. And you can bend the knees, bend both knees, and straighten the legs a couple of times. And then find some stillness here. And then you can inhale and lift the right leg. We'll lift it high. If that's not accessible to you, you can just step the right foot forward. But if you want to do like a 3-legged dog and step through, that's fine. So maybe your foot doesn't get all the way to the top of the mat first. If you're just beginning, that's fine. You can just help it, move it forward a couple of inches with your hand. And just make sure your knee is above the ankle or a little bit behind to not strain that knee. So let's tuck our toes underneath behind us so the toes are long. And let's just play around with this lunge a little bit. So your hips are nice and square to the wall in front of you. And your right leg is out a little bit towards the right corner of your mat. Standing up or sitting, oh, I don't know what this is, lunging tall, lifting the chest, arms up straight. Inhale and exhale, press the hips forward a little bit. Inhale, reach tall, exhale, press them forward. And we'll bring the palms to frame that right foot, and let's tuck under the left toes, straighten that back leg. And from here, we'll just hold this for a moment, a runner's lunge. You may need to come up to your fingertips if you can't quite get your hands flat, or if you have blocks or books to put under your hands, that might be a good option to kind of raise the chest and still have some stability. Keep those shoulders down away from the ears and still have that length in the upper body. We'll plant the left hand on the inside of the right foot and then open that right arm up to the sky. So we're twisting towards the right. You can bring your gaze up to your fingertips. And just think about if that was a clock, your right arm reaching towards the 12 o'clock straight up. And on your next in your next exhale, bring that hand down. And we'll step back to our downward dog. Again, find any movement you need with the legs. Bending or straightening. And let's lift the left leg, bending the knee towards your chest and step it through. Again, if you need some help, moving it forward a little bit to the front of the mat towards the left side. Tuck the right toes under long behind you. And then same things. Inhale, tall, exhale, press the hips forward. Left knee not going past that left ankle. And be mindful here of your hands not to fall forward. Let's keep the shoulders up. Elbows nice and tall up by the sides of our head. fingertips reaching towards the sky. Inhale and exhale, press forward. So just enjoy that hip stretch. You can use movement as I'm doing, or you can just hold. Let's bring the hands forward, plant, and tuck the back toes under. Straighten the right leg. Again, always option to modify with some blocks or books or something. Box, I don't know, cat. Just kidding. Yeah, keep the chest nice and lifted off of the knee so we're not collapsing down. And let's take one more breath and then we'll plant the right hand, open the left up. So use your breath as you inhale. It'll create some more space for you to move a little further in this twist, and then exhale, really extend and reach. And hold. All right, let's come down. We'll step that leg back and another down dog. So hopefully you're getting the feel for this posture and kind of what your body needs right now. Let's bend both knees deeply, look forward, and then we can take a step to the front of the mat. Another option, take a couple of steps if it's not accessible for you to take one big step. So now we're in a forward fold. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? So we're just hanging out, arms reaching towards your feet. If you want to grab opposite elbows, there's an option in a ragdoll position. So just allowing the low back to release, the spine, head, and neck are just hanging heavy, and you can bring a gentle sway back and forth, side to side. I prefer not doing that. I don't know why. I just prefer not to do that posture. I like to allow my arms just to like fall heavy towards the ground. So you do you, whatever you like. I'm not afraid to say I dislike something about yoga. Shake the head, yes or no, and just allow it all. Let gravity, pull everything down to the floor. Cool. All right, let's do a half lift. So hands will come to your shins or to your upper thighs, like kind of in your hip creases here. So notice how my back is flat. So my body is like a number 7. My crown of my head reaching forward. So elbows shouldn't be sticking out like I just demonstrated. Elbows hugging in towards the body, and pull the shoulder blades together and down your back. Concentrate on your breath here. Inhale, and as we exhale everything out, press the air out. One more forward fold. And then our next inhale will rise one vertebrae at a time. Head comes up last, and arms reach up overhead. They can touch at the top, and then we'll swan dive forward. So just keeping the back flat, fold right back down. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, hands plant down on the mat, and we'll step our feet back to our high plank. So remember to really pull the belly button in towards your spine to engage the abs, and press down into all 10 fingers. Real strong. Be mindful of keeping everything a nice flat back. We don't want the hips rising up or sagging down too low. So continue to keep them up so everything is nice and level. Let's lower the knees. You can inhale, and as you exhale, bend the elbows. We'll lower about halfway down, or you can lower all the way down onto the floor. Inhale, the head and chest will lift. You can press into your palms as we lift, just stretching out the spine slightly into a baby cobra, and coming back down, forehead center down on the mat. We'll do that one more time. Keep the elbows hugged in towards the body. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift up and lower. And this time you may press up all the way if you're ready, or you can keep it a half cobra. Just pressing up all the way into the palms, lifting the chest, and then tuck the toes, send the hips up and back to downward facing dog. So congratulations, you just did a sun salutation A. Let's bend the knees and take a step up to the front of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, we come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Next breath brings us up all the way, reach up high. And exhale, arms out wide, flat back, fold down. Next inhale brings us up halfway. Nice flat back, elbows pull in. Exhale, plant the hands. You can jump both feet back or step back one at a time back to our high plank. Lower halfway, or go ahead and lower the knees. And then lower the chin and chest. Lower all the way down if you need to, and then press up to your cobra or upward facing dog. And then tuck the toes to downward facing dog. Okay, so hopefully you're getting the hang of it by now. Let's lower the knees as wide as the mat. Big toes come to touch, and you can send the hips down. Let's just take a child's pose. So you can extend the hands out long in front of you and really press the shoulders, press the armpits down towards the ground. It feels really nice on the arms. And just allow your forehead to rest heavy on the mat. You can walk your fingertips over to the right side. Feel the stretch of the left side body and take a couple breaths there. Then when you're ready, walk over to the left. Fingertips are the only things moving, stretching over, and then coming back to the center. We'll come up to all fours. And then the hips come up and back to downward dog when you're ready. Take one breath in, look forward, come up on the toes, bend the knees, and you can jump or step forward to our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, root the feet down as we rise up. And we'll sink the hips down and back into a chair pose. So feet can be shoulder width apart, or sometimes we cue the big toes to touch. It doesn't really matter, whatever's comfortable for you. So a nice base of support as we sit down like we're sitting into a chair. Arms reaching out overhead. Pull the navel in towards the spine. Sink the hips down and back. And take a look over your knees. Make sure you can see all 10 toes. Let's bring our hands down in front in prayer. I'm twisting to my right first. We'll take an inhale. And we'll twist to the right. So the left elbow is going to come on the outside of your right knee. And we'll be twisting over there to the right. So if you need some help, you can really hook the elbow on the knee. If not, you can also just practice twisting without the hook there. Come back to center, take a breath, and we'll twist over to the left. So look down and draw the left knee back in line with the right. If you noticed the left knee kind of jutted forward or back as you were twisting. I had to switch so you could see a little bit better. All right, come back to center and we'll fold over. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Step or jump your feet back. Inhale, we're lowering. This is called chaturanga. It's a half push-up. Then we'll turn, tuck the toes. The feet are flat, up to a cobra and downward dog. All right, let's bend, lower the knees, and we'll sit back onto our heels. So there's some movement. That's just a basic yoga flow that I wanted to teach you. We'll add on to that in my next videos that I'm going to do that are for beginners. Right now, let's just sit with our legs out long, toes pointed up towards the ceiling. And our hands will be right beside the hips. So let's just sit tall. Ears, shoulders, hips all in one line. Draw everything in and just have an active stretch with the toes pulling back towards you. Reach the arms up tall and then fold forward, leading with the chest. If you have a strap or a scarf or a belt or something you want to hook over your feet, that can be helpful. If not, just grab onto your ankles or shins. And then after you have the flat back and the chest forward, then allow your head and your nose to drop forward a little bit for the stretch. All right, let's come up slowly. And from here, we'll go into a hip stretch. So allow the soles of the feet to come in towards your body. So your soles of the feet are touching, heels together. You can place your hands like around your feet or your ankles. First, sit tall. Just allow the shoulders to come up, down, and back. You can press the knees down towards the floor, and you can even use your elbows if you'd like to kind of press them down. Find your breath. And then on your next exhale, feel free to fold forward, again with the chest leading, like we just did in our forward fold stretch, seated. And then allow your head to drop down. Or maybe you just hold kind of where you feel some resistance. Continue pressing the knees down towards the floor. You can continue to stretch, pause if you need to. Otherwise, come up and we'll move into our last ab exercise. We'll hold on behind the hamstrings, lift the feet, and rock back so your spine is in the shape of a C. When you feel the abs engage, you can go ahead and let the hands release, and we're holding here. Palms can be facing up. This is boat pose, and your knees can remain bent, or you can straighten your legs. All right, let's come up, take a quick break. Feet can come down. We'll go right back into it. So pulling in the abs, tightening, lift the legs. I'm going to straighten mine this time. Then release the arms. Take a couple of deep breaths. And we'll lower the right heel and then the left. Let's lower both legs a couple inches above the mat and slowly lower all the way down. Good job. Draw the knees into your chest, and maybe you make some circles or just rock side to side to massage out the lower back. And for our final stretch, we'll just drop the knees over to one side, going over to the right. So keep the knees stacked, ankles stacked at a right angle. Go ahead and T or cactus the arms out to the side, and you can look over the left shoulder for a deeper stretch if you'd like. Just allow the breath to relax and release a little bit further into the stretch with every exhale. Knees can pull back to center. Grab the knees with your hands. Go ahead and do a gentle rock if you need to. And then we'll go over to the other side, again being mindful to keep the knees, heels, feet stacked. Look over the right shoulder for a little bit of a deeper stretch, and really try to keep the left shoulder grounded on the mat as you feel this spinal twist. So I hope you learned something new or tried something new today and had a good introduction to some basic yoga. I will try to make some more videos that kind of build on this and teach you some of the different poses, and also just not to keep it very long so you can do it pretty easily. All right, one last big hug. Hug your knees into the chest. Squeeze everything in and then relax everything out. Both heels reaching out to the opposite corners of the mat. Releasing the hands, palms facing up. Your pets are going to come over and want to sniff you. So here's where we take our ending relaxation called Shavasana. I'm not going to guide you through anything as far as the meditation or silence. You can just take the amount of time that you would like. When you're ready, just begin to gently move the body. Maybe come over to one side as you slowly come back up and readjust to the room around you. You can sit back into a cross-legged position where we started. Thank you so much for joining me. Feel free to follow me at Fitness with Sharon on Instagram. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.